Okay, cool. So let me start by introducing agenda for today. So yeah, today we have 5 different presenters. So I'm not going to speak that much at this community hour. We've been doing already like 7 community hours, a lot about like feature presentation, but today we wanted to have real users of Now speak about like what their context was, what their setup was, maybe give some tips to other people on how to set up Now. So this is the lineup we have for today. We have 5 different data teams that are going to speak about their Now setup. So we're going to try to make it fast, like maybe have 10 minutes for each speaker. And feel free if you have any questions for the people speaking. If you want to get some tips from the users here, that's the whole point of today. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we're going to go from left to right, if that's okay for you. So, Florian, if you want to start, I have a list of interview questions that we can go through. I don't know if you want to start by like introducing yourself a bit, and then we can go to the first question of your data team and stack.
Yes, no problem. Glad to meet you all. I'm Florian. I'm lead data engineer at Qare. Qare is a society of teleconsultation, so we link practitioners and patients through teleconsultations. So I'm lead data engineer. So my main role here is to tackle subjects like data quality and stuff like this, and to implement new tools like Now. So we are a team of 6 people. We are 130 at Qare globally. So it's 6 people. So one head of it's a very well partitioned team because we all have one role. So we have one head of data who manages all. We have one data analyst, one data scientist, one data engineer, one analytics engineer, and one lead data engineer from my side. Our stack is mainly AWS, so we have Redshift for data warehouse and S3 for data lake. We use dbt for data transformation, Airflow for scheduling, Metabase and Tableau for BI. We also have Fast API for our API services, and MLflow for machine learning. And for 2 months now, we have Now for agentic analytics, which is pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, pretty traditional stack, I would say, for the rest.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, like, what was the story? Like, why did you start using Now? What was the solution, the issue you wanted to solve with it?
So we implemented Now to improve the self-service experience at Qare. We launched self-service analytics 2 years ago, but there was a true technical barrier to SQL, which made it difficult for users from every department to be fully autonomous on the tool. So yeah, the idea was to make it more human-like with a natural language querying in plain English, and so Now came to us in this context, and we wanted to try it and to make a POC, and the POC was successful, so we finally deployed it into production. Before Now, we tested the implementation of a custom analytics agent with Dust, but most of the time it was context. So the out queries they were not very accurate, and the downside was that the data ambassadors had to copy paste the output queries to Redshift to actually get the results. So it was not optimal because the Dust agent it didn't have all the synced context like we can have with Now, And plus, they had to do an extra step to copy paste the query to Redshift and then to go back to Dust and tell it it doesn't work. So it was not optimal at all.
Yeah, I think Dust, if it doesn't integrate with your warehouse, then the feedback loop of the tool is not working very well.
Yes.
Okay. And so how was like the setup of now like what was your strategy on what you put in it, who has access to it, and yeah, how did that evolve?
So at first, my strategy was to make a working POC, proof of concept, and to show it to the top management, like to my head of data and to my CTO. And they were very excited about the results. So it paved the way to a quick deployment on our internal Kubernetes server with the support of the DevOps team. So my strategy was to make a first working example in full localhost and to prove the solution works, to show it to the top management, and then it helped me deploy it more to the whole company. Well, I think it's a quick tip. If you want to make things move fast, you should definitely embark your C-levels to make doors open for you quickly. The context setup is made of our own DBT repository, which is named ETL warehouse. I know the name is not optimal, but well, it's like this. So we have our DBT in the context. We sync the golden layer of our marts and data marts in Redshift. So we use the now sync command. We have a custom rules.md, which is more or less the rules the rules from now. We more or less copy pasted it. And we also have semantic agents per business area, our main core business areas, and a glossary for frequently used words at Qare. And also we're looking for the Confluence sync, because we do not use Notion at Qare, and so we have a missing step here, and we would really like to to implement this business context layer, which is very important to make the agent the most relevant possible.
Yeah, we have this issue ongoing with the Confluence source. What did you said you had semantic agents in the
Yes.
context?
Yeah, in the agents / context folder.
Okay.
For our core entities. For example, our main business is the consultations. So we have a dedicated MD file for describing what is a teleconsultation, which table should be queried first when talking about consultations and stuff like this.
Okay. And so did you like build all these contexts at first, or like you focused on first domain and then added up, or?
Yeah, I added up, definitely, from our users' feedback. Because yes, the adoption today, we have a soft launch phase. So we opened the agent to our 25 data ambassadors at Qare, which is roughly 15 to 20% of our global effective. So it's quite significant. And yeah, they make constant feedback, so we can improve the rules and we can improve the agent on the go.
Okay.
And the results are pretty encouraging, because I set up a North Star KPI, which is the percentage of upvoted chats on the total chats we have. And for the moment, we have like 85% of the interactions with now that are relevant and upvoted by actual users. So it's pretty encouraging. And since the GPT 5.5 default LLM Yes, because we use OpenAI. So since this, we have 100% since the beginning of the week. So it's really, really, really encouraging.
Okay. So it's not all about context, it's also about the model you use.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And do you have any like success story you want to tell, or maybe a live demo, something you want to share, like a fun story you've done, or yeah?
Live demo is unfortunately not possible for us because we have health data. So I can't show you anything, but well, I'd like to show you maybe just one thing if I can share my screen. Oh, open. Okay. Well, it's a bit complicated. I'll put it in the chat. Well, no, I can't.
I can,
I have the.
maybe I can.
I think it's fine. Maybe. Okay. I think I can do this. Entire screen. Share. Okay. So it was just this curve of cost. You
Okay.
can't. I think it's a success story in itself because you can see the deployment was in March and we had very few costs. And then in April, it starts with just data users. And we can see in May, we opened it to our data ambassador community. And this is only June, which we opened it to the rest of the community. And you can see an exponential growth of the costs. So it proves that the tool is actually used, and yes, it's quite amazing because the curve for June is like higher than the curve of May, and we are only the 11th of June. So
Okay.
it's the way to go.
Okay. And so you're not scared that this cost curve is going to go too high then? Because that's also like the risk. But
We put a limit, but you know,
right.
it's fine. It's fine. We
Okay.
prefer our users to use now and to get relevant insights than to focus on the cost for the moment.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, maybe to wrap up, if you have like any tip for new now users or
Yes, the best tip I can give is to keep your DBT tidy and well documented, the semantic layer, because it's the most important thing. I think that the real challenge for data teams is to make this context as relevant as possible and as tidy as possible, as documented as possible. This is the real challenge because the tool is technically amazing right now, and the main challenge is the semantic layer to make it even better. And yeah, this is a nice tip. And for the tech guys here, maybe if you can deploy a dev and a prod environment, it's fine, because when you push an upgrade, a version upgrade on dev, you can check it out on dev if it works fine, and then you can deploy it to prod. It's the workflow we implemented at Qare, and it works fine. So it's a nice recommendation I can have for new users.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks a lot. It was really insightful. So curious to see if we have different setups in the next speakers.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for. So let's see who we have next. I guess we'll go with Dennis next.
Hello.
Yeah, cool. Hi, Dennis. How are you doing?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Cool. Well, do you want to start introducing yourself, your team, and your
Yeah,
stack?
for sure. So I'm Dennis. I'm the director of data at Nexus Mods, and I've been with Nexus Mods since August last year. And I'm the only data person in Nexus Mods as of now, and I was the first one brought on. So Nexus Mods is 25 years old, and they have always picked up all of their data, but they never used it for anything. So completely green field, which is for a data person, that was really nice, right? So coming in 75 million users, having all of their data, all of their behavioral data, all of the downloads. So 22 billion downloads in the past 25 years. And then just me digging in and starting on the data modeling side of things and implementing various tools. So data stack wise, we use ClickHouse as our data warehouse, and we chose ClickHouse because it's very good at doing group by. So that's their set out goal, is to solve group by with 23 billion downloads as of now. That's of course a lot of group by when you want to do lifetime and the last 12 months downloads per each user and so on. So our data is very narrow. We don't have like many data points on each user, but we have a lot in small areas, right? So ClickHouse is our data warehouse. Then we implemented Mixpanel as our product analytics tool, where we can track everything that the users do on our website and how they download and what they do before they download. Some of these events we then pipe back into ClickHouse, which we then put into Neo, right? Then we use dbt for modeling. I agree with Florian. Keep a dbt project neat and Teddy. It will make everything easier after that. What else do we have? And yeah, then of course Neo, right? And I think that's basically it at the moment. We have no BI tool yet because Mixpanel handles most of that. So Mixpanel is also handling BI for the product analytics. And then Neo, hopefully, is going to be the BI. At least it will be a cold day in hell before I go back to Power BI. But let's see if we ever end up there again. And for the data team, we are only me currently, but we just hired a data analyst, an analytics engineer, and an experimentation analyst, and then hiring for data scientists to do some machine learning as well. So within a month or two, we will be 5 people in the data team.
Cool. So many people to help you on data documentation and dbt and all.
Exactly. It's starting to be much being one person doing this.
Yes, one person and many agents, I guess.
Yes, and that's why Neo came in handy, right? So
Yeah.
before Neo, and I think that's tying into the next question. So before Neo, I already had like an agent running, so Claude Code, right? But with all of the context files and everything already built. So when I saw Neo, I think it was on LinkedIn. I actually don't remember. But I already had all of the context, right? And I just used Claude Code for my local agents. And why implementing Neo? Because I wanted the same experience for all of the team members, right? So prior to Neo, they would ask me in the data channel in Slack, and I would go to my Claude Code and use that for answering all of the questions. And I basically just wanted to replicate that for all of the users, right? They are technical, and they could, of course, just clone the repo and have all of the same as I do. But of course, that's not the best solution, right? So Neo came in handy. And of course, it was Neo Sync, and then it got all of the dbt models and everything into the databases folder. And because the dbt mod project was already well structured, it just worked. And then I had a lot of context files, and the way I put it, I can show that. Let me just show the screen. Over there. So here you have the file explorer, right? And we also have the rules.md, so a bit on the business overview, the query life cycles, and then most used tables and a lot of rules down here. But the docs over here, then we have put in company context, so it knows who we are and what it's supposed to do. And then a lot of the terms also in here. So what is a mod? What's a collection? What's an endorsement? And we have knowledge context in here. So going into some of the pre-computed segments that we have. So user engagement segment, collection user intent segment, all of these. What they are, where they can find it, and how to compute it if it needs to recompute at runtime. We have metric computation as well. What else? We have the SQL patterns, because ClickHouse uses its own kind of quirky SQL language sometimes. So some of the syntax is a bit different from SQL Server and what have you. And I think these are very neat. And this one is also nice. So I've put in like annotations because we know that in 2021 we had a collection feature that launched. In 2024 we had the Fallout Season 1 on Amazon Prime, which spiked a huge inflow of new users and a spike in premium subscribers. So each time someone queries downloads and this period of time is within the query, it will automatically note that, hey, you should be aware that Fallout Season 1 aired here. Then we have more in here, and I will just add all of the most high-level annotations in here. Then for each domain, I have another context file, right? So we have demand. These are our users who download. We have something on our downloads tables, the download domain. We have, I call it goals, and that's probably not the right name anymore. But in here we have all of the KPIs that we're trying to accomplish. So this is me pre-computing all of the KPIs. And this one added a lot of value because then the agent would always surface the same KPIs instead of having to find how to actually calculate and compute the KPIs at runtime. It would basically go in and take the ones that I've already calculated. So whenever someone asked about email, so engaged monthly active users, they will always see the exact same number because it doesn't have to recompute it, right? Then we have moderation, monetization, and all of the different domains, which is then modeled directly in ClickHouse, right? So ClickHouse up here, and you can see all of the schemas down here. And each of these, you can then see the tables that we have. And I just call it staging, intermediaries, and mods. And then in the rules, I tell it to always use mods, and if you can find it there. If you can't, then you can use intermediaries as next step. Otherwise, go to staging. And only on rare occasions is it okay to actually go for this one down here. So this is the 23 billion downloads. Only go there if nothing else works. And in there, I also put in like rules for you cannot query this one without a date time filter and stuff like this. So yeah, that's our context and the setup there.
Cool. That's a very refined setup. And so I'm wondering, like, if you had this at first, or like you just like came with iteration, with like seeing where the agent was failing, like what was the iterative process on that?
Asking Claude how to do it. No, not only at least. No. So seeing where it failed, right? And in many occasions, like an email, it would use MAU instead of email, so it didn't really know what the differences were. It would use one of them was I had pre-computed. Was it rolling downloads? I think so. I had computed rolling 30 days downloads so that it wouldn't do it at runtime. It already had the column, and I just called it downloads in a table that was called something with 30-day rolling or something. So the agent found downloads and said, "Hey, that's 500 million," and then I got the number, and I know it's not 500 million per day, right? So I knew it was incorrect. So those were some of the areas that I found. And I then ran Neo locally and used that instead of my Claude setup. Did that for a couple of weeks, and then we introduced the PUC, where we used Cloudflare secure tunnels. So when my machine was up and running, the ones I gave access could actually go and use my local host on my machine. And we gave that to 5 people, and they tried it out. And then my CEO, he was one of them. He was like, "Let's just go live." I said, "Okay, let's do that, right?" So we went live 2 weeks ago, and we are 30 people now who's using it out of 55 people now. So quite a lot. And we also turned on the Slack bot. So also being a part of Slack now. Still, I want to open the MCP endpoint as well because our director of product, she was like, I want the MCP so I can use it with Linear. Yeah, that's next step.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. And so do you, because you've done a lot of iterative process on your testing, and now do you like check out the conversation people have and keep on doing like this feedback loop?
Very much. both improving the agent, but equally as much for teaching the users how to actually use it. So our CTO, he asked it specifically what can you tell me about the purchases looking at the purchases table? And it just says, I don't have access to that. And then I could see that in the chat, right? And I went to him, just be more broad in your question. Just say, what can you tell me about purchases? And don't point it to a specific table. Because of course I don't give it access to all of the source tables, right? So that's how I also use it. And also just to try to kind of teach them how to actually use these tools, because many of them will be very, very narrow in how they actually ask. And what I like about this is if you ask like an open enough question about analytics, it will actually give you better answers if you try to direct it too much in your narrow bias towards how you should actually do the analysis, right? And I think that works very well.
Okay. And there was a question from Opeyemi in the chat, which is, what difference do you make between the docs folder and the semantic folder in the context?
I have nothing in the semantics folder yet. So that might be something I've done incorrectly. I don't know. But
I mean, yeah, the way we had thought about it was like docs is more like documentation on like your business context or any definitions. And then the semantics would be like basically that the metrics definition. But in the end, like I think it doesn't really matter where you put what, because the agent just like search for keywords and not search in specific folders. So
yeah. And I think I might be the one to blame there. we don't have like what you call a semantic layer, but I would say that our docs folder is then partly our semantic layer, right? But we don't run Cube or DBT semantic layer or what have you, right? So in that sense, we don't have a true semantic layer, and we in my mind currently don't need it because we only have one consumer, and that's Neo. Maybe if we introduce another BI tool or anything other than that, we might need the semantic layer. But for now, this is perfectly fine.
Okay. So maybe just like to wrap up, if you have any advice, tips for new users.
Just get going.
Okay.
Yeah, just fire up and try it out, I guess. No, back to also what Florian said. So documentation, of course, is going to be a bigger part than at least what I've been used to, right? I've been used to documentation. We do that in the end, and we never have time in the end anyways, so we never have it. But here you should actually start with documentation, because that will make everything down the line much easier. So I guess that's my 2 cents. Get started and then go for the documentation early on.
Cool. Thanks. Well, thanks a lot for giving us your experience. Really insightful and really cool to show your context folder. Really impressive.
Thank you.
Cool. So next we're going to go with Manuel. Where are you, Manuel? Yes.
I'm here.
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Also a big contributor at now, so thank you, Manuel.
a small contributor. I did nothing. So I think I sit in between Florian and Denis. So my name is Manuel. I work for Everyday, which is a video game company for mobile phones. We only have one game. Our company is very small. We are 13, 14 people. It depends on the month. But all of us, they are super data literate. So they actually, what I say is that they own their own questions. So I am the only data practitioner. I impose the rules, I educate them, I put the infrastructure, I put the model in, but they come up by themselves with what needs to be actually queried and searched for analysis. So yeah, so the thing about this stack is that we wanted it to keep super simple at the very beginning. So we are using BigQuery, we are in GCP. We have a small layer of DBT, only because the company is so small that we have only very few models that we really care about. We have models around products, about purchases, about user behavior, and so on. But most of our data is really tracking, even level-based. So a lot of our analysis are going to be around users' behavior around events. So building models on top of that is sometimes very complex when you don't know the question you want to model first. So the idea was to keep it simple, to keep it transparent, and to keep it super lean as the team.
Okay. And so I remember like when we started talking, like maybe a few months ago, you already were exploring a lot of tools to do data with agents. So like, do you want to tell us a bit more what you were doing and why you added now to this setup?
Yeah. So maybe this starts like years ago when the first real model came up and we started playing around Slack, connecting to the model and trying to come up with the answer of a question. Back in the time, that was awful. And awfulness meaning context is not existing. So you don't have a context, you don't have a question, you don't have an answer. So I started really from the ground. I tried to really get into what is analytical engineering and how to introduce agents into this kind of workflow. And I started trying different tools. Like I tried Evidence, I tried Julius, I tried very recently the new ones around Looker, around X, and so on. So all of them were great, super complex, very powerful. And then on the other side, I tried poking my own things. So I built my own agent using Claude, using notebooks, Jupyter. So then 3-4 months ago, we started to talk with Claire, and I realized that actually the missing point or the best things of those both worlds, pre-built services and all the things I was building on my own was actually now. And now was actually handling the whole context engineering pipeline, which is the glue between my data and my consumers.
Okay.
So yeah, I tested many things, and at the end now was the sticky one.
Nice. And so, yeah, how did you implement it? Like, what's in the context of now and the secret?
For us, it was actually super quick. When I say quick, it was a matter of 2 days. I had everything pretty much as Dennis said, working locally. My Claude was actually doing the analysis. My Claude was actually doing the analytics, plots and BI. So my Claude was already the knowledge. I already had the whole Markdown things to make this happen. So putting now in place was only a matter of, spawn IBM, put now inside, drop all the Markdown inside, and then open to my consumers. What I can say in here is that with the bare minimum context and a bare minimum setup like this one, my users, so my C-level in this case, 3-6 people across the company, they were so hyped about what this could unlock that in 2 days he said, co-production, invest more time on it, and then we're good to go. And literally it was like this, the plug was there, I just needed to improve the context and to tailor to every single thing they actually needed on a daily basis. So it really helped me to actually get off me all those Haddock questions, all those build me this dashboard so we can check out every day and so on. And just now for almost everything today, actually, especially around A/B testing.
Okay. And so, like, what is the adoption like? Like you mentioned, like 6 people C-level, like using now, like every day. Like, what does it look like? Yeah.
So out of we are 14, 15. So out of these, at least 6 people using every day, and those are PMs or C-level. The interesting part here is that, and I actually discovered this 3 days ago, our designers, our game designers are actually going to now as well, not only to ask questions about our product, but also about other people's product. So it's really like not only our database and our knowledge, but trying to poke things from competitors. We are not built for that. Our data is not built for that, but it was super curious how people's questions can actually go super deep into their job. And part of my job today is actually fetching some data for those people who didn't have an answer or a proper answer, and trying to enrich their knowledge with the external information. Yeah,
Denise asked if you turned on. I think the question is like, what data do they get if it's not in your data warehouse?
Yeah, sometimes those data sets are actually private because they belong to the store. A store, you have to pay for them, or you have companies for that, like Apani or Data AI. There are many companies trying to extract information from the store, number of purchases, how the gameplay is, volumes per day, downloads per day. Yeah, there are a lot of information which is not out there only for web search.
But so for now, they don't have access to this information, right? Because it's like pay. I mean, they would have to pay it, right?
So there is a paywall. We do have this information inside. It's just that it was not part of my thinking when I put now out there. I didn't think that designers, they didn't want to know this style that other competitors are using for their assets, for example.
And so then you added the data in the scope of now?
And now we are adding all these kind of data sets in the scope of now as well.
That's interesting, actually, because I feel like when you have a BI tool, you don't really monitor like what people ask. And, you know, if they have a question that they can't find the answer, like you can't see any log of it in a traditional BI tool. While here you can see all the questions they want to ask and like actually have a better service for them. That's interesting.
And actually that comes up to maybe part of the adoption or part of the success story we will see. Around a month ago when we started to use Now, I already thought that we need to close the loop. So we have chats, we have people asking questions, we have the results. We maybe have those feedbacks, chance up or down, but we need more detail. What went wrong in that chat? So very, very early, I put in place this workflow, closing that loop. I analyzed all the chats over the past 7 days, over the past month, whatever it is. I spot friction, and I spot where do we need to improve our context so that friction goes away in the next chat. And this is actually part of the next Now release, I hope, which is gonna, I hope, help everyone. Yes.
Yeah. So spoiler. So Manuel last week or 2 weeks ago came to our office and he like coded this in our product actually. So like all he had built on his side like will come to our product. We actually released it today. It's like behind the feature flag. So if you want to try it, like ask me. But like we'll present everything in the next community hour, I think. So yeah, thank you, Manuel, for this.
Cool. Thank you.
Do you wrap up with a tip?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself with everything around DBT, Markdown, context, and so on. I do think something which was super useful to me, and it's not super straightforward, it's to focus on the now tests. The now tests is both useful for the quality of your context, but now tests are context themselves as well. So then it showed us these query patterns, SQL query patterns. SQL tests are now tests, are actually SQL queries. So you just need a minimum amount of tagging to put the domain or the scope of those tests, and then you're good to go, and you have a self-service as well test enriching your now context.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more work to do, but I think it's definitely worth it if you want to sleep at night and make sure your agent is still working right. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Manuel. Very, very interesting. We have 2 more people to go, so let's try to be efficient, I guess. Well, so next one is Kasra. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you everyone for having me. Well, my name is Kasra. I'm the head of data of Finfrog. Well, it kind of has a funny name, but basically we're a lending company. We're a credit lending company. Basically, the idea is to actually help the middle class to get very fast access to small loans. Sometimes they could have like financial needs, a couple of hundreds of €1,000. Whereas actually in France, you don't have a real quick solution to these kind of problems. So basically, we're a 20 people company, founded 10 years ago. So the data team is actually consists of 3 people. We basically actually ML machine learning practitioners who happen to do some data. So basically, we're kind of like full stack data scientists. We do most of our time like working on the scoring models, machine learning scoring models, basically credit scoring models, but we spend a lot of time as well on actually, just doing some analytics engineering stuff, building the data warehouse, answering to reporting demands, or also like analytics demands. So that's how the team looks like. Our stack is basically pretty standard. We're in on AWS. We use Airbyte for ingestion, dbt for data transformation, Snowflake for data wallet, data lake, warehousing, Metabase for actually data visualization, and just basically Airflow for orchestration. So pretty standard in terms of the data stack. I could say, yeah, I'm obviously actually closer, I think, to what Manuel said in terms of company size, in terms of the structure of the team. So yeah, basically we're a 20 people company, and everyone in Finfrog, just like in Manuel's, is pretty much actually has an analytical kind of soul. We have lots of data practitioners. Every decision in the company is actually based on data. I mean, at C-level, at department level, every decision is always backed by a Metabase question, Metabase dashboard. And the reason why we thought about Neo in the first place is that although we are an ML practitioner team, we used to spend a lot of time actually responding to a lot of analytical and reporting demands, sometimes up to 50 or 60% of our time, just like the rest of you guys, I guess. And we started thinking very early about self-serving analytics. I mean, I was the one actually trying to, kind of teach people SQL back in the day, trying to help them kind of solve their questions and answer their questions by doing SQL themselves. Doesn't work. I mean, if it doesn't come with enough motivation and stuff, it doesn't work. So we tried, like the rest of you guys, couple of tools. Like we actually tried Snowflake Cortex Analyst like a year ago. We backed it with our dbt semantic layer, which is very, very actually simple. We gave it a couple of verified queries, but back in the day, it didn't really work. I guess it was because it wasn't really mature enough at the time. And yeah, I guess a couple of months ago, we just had a call with Qare and just introduced me to the tool, and yeah, it just felt amazing just deploying it. So that's just to answer your question, how we implemented it and whether we tested all the solutions.
Okay, and I think like you've done, several improvements of the context. Like I guess like at first you started small, like with just you and someone else like using the tool, and then you expanded. Like how did it go?
Yeah, I mean our setup is pretty different. Yeah, from the other guys. Yeah, we since we're a small company, we could really iterate very fast. I had a kind of like a buddy who was like a data champion. He was the head of operations, and I said to him, just like be my guy. I'm gonna build you something good, and I need you to test it and tell me if it's good. So basically a very simple POC on an EC2 machine. And yeah, popped it up in a day, just like Manuel, and just iterated with him very fast. So at the beginning, yeah, we tried to do multiple files, like Denise, like just actually dividing the context into different files. But since we are pretty much a small company and our product isn't that really complicated, we don't have different departments, different business units, a big fat old rules.md file actually worked out for us very well. So basically, yeah, I just popped a very, very long rules MD that contain basically the main definitions of the company, what we do, obviously some instructions about the behavior, the SQL pattern, blah blah blah. But yeah, basically the main definitions, the main departments, just the risk department, the compliance, the operations, which is very important, the marketing, obviously, main business definitions and the list of 50 or 60 main KPIs, disjoint KPIs. And to be really honest, yeah, the fact that we just uploading this this context to Neo really made it work. And to be honest with you guys, it really revolutionized the way we do an analytics, because ever since we have, I would say, 80% of the analytics that is done in Neo now. We have many power users today, basically that are head of departments people, like obviously the head of operations I've been talking about a lot, that does a lot of its analytics on Neo. And since these guys have analytical minds, they can actually challenge the agent, they can ask questions, they can actually challenge it, iterate with it so that they could actually get better results. They could give me feedback. They can also give feedback to Neo so that it can remember it with its memory feature. So for us, it really worked well, giving it to power users that own the context, own the business logic, and they have all the data. I mean, it's really different from before, where like a couple of years ago, where we had to do an analysis for the business people, and it kind of was back and forth. So we would do one analysis, they would ask for edits, we go back to them, they ask for another edit. This time it's very, very faster, you know. So yeah, it really changed a lot. I think it's the most popular employee at FinFrog now. So that's a good story.
Well, I hope not more popular than you are. And when you said you put everything in the rules.md, like, did you evaluate if it had like increased the cost for your agent to have like one big piece that is always sent to the agent, or not?
Well, not really, because our costs are not that high. We are more around a couple of like dozens of dollars a day, so we don't have that much of a cost issue actually. And just to answer the question, no, it didn't. We don't really have a cost issue right now, and we did some tests with the unit tests by splitting the context, by doing one big context, and the iteration that gave the better results was having one big context, because it basically simplified the search of the agent. So and most of our feedbacks came from users as well. I guess we had more qualitative feedback, since we had like users sitting next to each other, than let's say quantitative feedback. So yeah, I guess that was really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's my feeling too, because like if you have all the context in the rules, then the agent does less tool calls to get the right context. So in the end, even if you send more context at first, it just like consumes less context in the agentic loop. So
and also if you have these power users, they sometimes you can maybe teach them to give constructive feedback to the agent, so that it can memorize these feedbacks, that it could go through in memory. So and over the time, with this process, we had less and less let's say negative feedback. So yeah, but obviously this is something that works, I guess, for a small company, and when you want to scale for a bigger structure, you have to do some more structural development.
Okay, cool. Do you want to add one last tip before we switch to the last person?
Well, I guess everyone pretty much said everything that needed to be said. I think the thing that worked for us very well is to find some buddies that could actually, there's some data champions that could actually sell these to their teams. Maybe obviously it works well for small companies, but maybe even for bigger companies, try to onboard analytical business people very, very early, and try to just choose one vertical that could be operations or marketing or everything, and just go from 1 to 10 on this direction and just prove the value, and then you scale on the other verticals. That would be my advice, I guess.
Very good advice. Well, thanks a lot, Kasra. I guess we'll go to the last one, who's Auguste.
Yep.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. I will try to make this one short. So my name is Auguste. I work in a company that's called Elax Energie. Basically install smart device on water heaters, and we put some intelligence in there so that we can kind of play on how they're heating and when. And in doing so, we help tenants make some economy on the electricity bill. But then as well, we help balancing the grid. So when the grid has a bit too much of power, we will heat at few given times. It's a win-win situation where we help tenants make some economies, and at the same time, we get paid by the power companies. We are a team of 50 people, more or less, and there's like one centralized platform team, which is comprised of one Elax engineer, one AI engineer, and then myself on the more like data engineer DevOps part. And we also have 2 data scientists, but more like in a decentralized approach in squads. Stack is fairly similar to all the ones that were disclosed. So BigQuery for the warehouse, Dagster for orchestration, dbt for data modeling. For ETL, we have a mix of Airbyte, DLT, and then some custom ingestions. Metabase for data viz. And that's it. Well, everything is deployed on a Kubernetes cluster managed by OVH.
Okay. And so, yeah, how did you add now to that stack? Like, what was the situation? Why did you want to have now?
Yeah, so everything came. There was a mix of first a desire to offload the amount of data requests that we received. Just like Kasra, we spent a lot of time on these requests where the added value was simply just us being able to kind of write some SQL and having some context about the how do you say the data model. But really the questions were fairly simple most of the time. And at the same time, we're super eager and keen to explore what was doable with the recent boom of LLM performance that we saw in the last couple of months. And I actually started experimenting with LangChain first, but got a bit frustrated of like if you got out of boxes or some of the test case scenario, then it wouldn't work. Also tried the custom agent loop approach, but hit the wall essentially on how to maintain your context, how to sync it, and yeah, definitely wouldn't scale. Was pretty much following what Claire and Christophe were working on our French Slack channel. So as soon as now got out, we clearly tested and got satisfied with the results. So we went with it, and also participated in a pilot with a company that's trying to do a bit the same, but more aimed at like bigger companies. But yeah, we did a pilot just to check what they did and how we could improve now based on what they could provide.
Okay, cool. And so how did it go? Like, did you give the access to everyone right away? Like, what was your strategy to roll it out?
Exactly. So we opened the valves to the whole company, and we kind of battle tested how it now worked from the beginning. The result was fairly positive, but one thing that we realized was that any ambiguity in the data model meant some ambiguity in the query. So we actually spent the most time trying to figure out the best way to describe our DBT models, because all the context is persisted in our DBT table, and we quickly realized that the approach of like when you find an issue and you want to update the rules was not actually not a good idea, because it added just a bunch of rules over and over, and then but like the rules got bigger and bigger. So we switched to a linear approach where we have a context file, a rules file that's like probably less than 100 rows, and all the other context lives in the DBT models. And we kind of pushed now to kind of first look at the description of the tables, which is basically our context, doing some grep, and then exploring the tables. So more in a graph approach, so that iteratively it would pick the tables that meet the criteria for the users needs.
And so when you say that your data model was sometimes ambiguous, it was you just like redid the documentation, not so much like the data model in itself.
Exactly. So we built a standard on like what's a good model documentation, and then we just distributed some cloud agents in a Ralph loop approach where we put every model and we say, okay, go look into the backend developers code and do the best documentation of this field, so it's like a programmatic approach, and then we cross-rept with the business knowledge from the business teams.
Mhm.
Well, and that's a skill now that we use whenever we create a new GPT model. We explore the backend source to produce the best documentation there is.
And like, when did you think, okay, like this is good enough for putting this in the hands of our business users? And like, how do you feel your business users are in terms of like data championship? Like, are they like data literate, I would say?
So most of the team is not really data literate. But I think what added some value is that we started using now a lot, meaning that when I was handling, I don't know, some A/B testing features development and trying to look at how the result will look in the warehouse, I would use now. So I was kind of making sure that the queries were working on my side, and we had a few people who were kind of excited about querying now. But really the approach has been to communicate widely on the company about now and see if there was some stickiness adoption, and there definitely was. So as I said, we have like 50 people, and 35 of them have interacted at least once with the tool, and we have like 25 regular users on a weekly basis. And I think the cool part has been that like we have 50 chats a week on average. So that's like 50 potential data queries that we didn't have to answer. But I'm definitely sure that it also opens some new use case that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise, thinking about like marketing or product teams. And out of these, we have 40% of the chats that are launched through the Cloud MCP, meaning that we have some people directly onto code, probably working with Notion and now as well, and they're doing some cool use case. So it's not just about BI or reporting or KPIs, but there's definitely tons of new use cases that are being developed. So I'm really happy with it.
Nice. Okay, so good potential for the MCP here.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. And did you do like Manuel did like review a bit like the topics, because you mentioned like maybe there's like new topics popping up that you were not handling before. So like, yeah, did you discover some fun analysis people were doing, or?
Yeah, that's the advice I could give additional to the make sure that your DBT model is battle tested. Looking at the chats we play, I mean, having the company know that we are actively looking at the queries to improve now is one important thing. And then when you do that, you definitely, I would say the learning has not been too much on the data model's quality, because feel like we've battle tested it a lot, and all the queries have like a high standard of quality of the models. But the people interacting with now is something that we haven't talked about much, but some people have no idea how to ask a question to now. And you can make the best data model ever, the best tool, the best now. If I go and ask a question in a ambiguous way, now it's gonna have to interpret that question. So we use also the chat replay to kind of identify users or patterns that people are asking now, which is ambiguous, and then we use that to kind of help them improve how they would ask questions to know. So it's also a super fun and cool way to kind of drive global AI adoption. So what's a good prompt? What's a good question? How do I check if my result is true or not?
Okay. And so you want to solve that by training people instead of like maybe like refining like context to tell the agent, okay, if like people talk about like users, it can be active user, churn user, paying users, and you need to work with the user to like make it non-ambiguous.
I think you need both.
Yeah.
Definitely, you need to make sure that whenever a question can lead to it being better written, now can ask some follow-up questions to clarify. But at the same time, if the quality of the question, you have to have kind of a standard for the way people ask the questions. If the standard is not met, now shouldn't answer, and we should make sure that we train the person instead. And I think that there's a lot of value added in training people as well, rather than just saying, okay, the tool will solve everything and then you can do everything. We have a use case, for example, where we have someone who asked now to kind of create some automation on Slack, thinking that kind of now was a tool that had more privileges than it had, and that's clearly a sign of like that person doesn't really know what now does, how it can be used. Stuff.
Okay. Well, now we can do automations, but you cannot do it through chatting with it for now. Okay, cool. Well, we're already over time, so I think we'll stop there. But thanks a lot, Auguste, for your sharing your experience. Well, thanks to all the 5 people who were sharing today. I think that was very insightful, even for me. Like, I learned a lot on different things you did well to improve now, so that's cool. And so, yeah, well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. I can stay a bit around. And just like, as usual, point of the meetups, like next week is full meetups for Christophe and I. I'm going to New York, he's going to Berlin. So if you are there, if you have friends there, just like give them the information. And of course, we're doing the Copenhagen meetup with Dennis in August. And next community hour in 2 weeks. So as I said, like the big next release is about the feedback loop. And I think that's really interesting because many of you like mentioned this feedback loop on the content. So yeah, we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. And jet lag is nothing. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, everyone, and see you very soon.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
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 Bye.